Okie doke guys, another review for you today, the Red5audio RVH95s, made in China. I don't believe these are available for retail yet. I don't think Red5 have actually released these yet, so this is a pre-release review. But from the company, talking to the company, as I understand it, these are slated to have a release price of about $39.99. Okay, and you can only buy direct from Red5, which they do to keep costs down. Okay, so if the price remains as Red5 have indicated, they'll be 40 quid, $39.99 when they come out. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the build quality and the features and stuff on this HD cam, and I will give you my opinion of what they sound like. Okay, and a summing up opinion. But to try and make the review a bit more interesting, I've got a variety of other headphones here. I've got some HD 25 Sennheisers, these are like 110 quid. Some K141s, AKGs, some K240DFs, AKGs, and a pair of prosumer Panasonic cans here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little loop with drums, bass, and some sort of bass mid pad going round in a loop, and I'm going to balance it using each pair of headphones, and then I'll make I'll render off a file of that mix, and then you can play them at home and see how each mix differs on your speakers, and that'll give you an idea of kind of how each pair of headphones is making me balance the mix differently. Okay, I hope that'll be more meaningful. So here's how the Red5s come in this box. So let's get on and look at the actual product, and then I'll give us summing up, and you can listen to the files and see what I'm hearing, or at least it'll be a bit more useful than me just telling you what I think, and hopefully it'll give you some sort of idea of how each pair of headphones is making me balance the mix slightly differently. Okay, let's get them unboxed. Now, if you've seen my reviews before, you'll know that I always like to show the box being opened, which I think is relevant. People like to know what they're getting for their money, and in some cases, such as with the full-blown Logic boxed version with all the manuals, it helps the potential purchaser to know that they're going to have to take a rucksack or a wheelbarrow to the shop because it's so enormous and heavy. Yeah, of course you get, you know, the odd teenage lads popping up on YouTube to add their witty comment, which is usually something along the lines of, "Dude, I didn't tune in to see a review of a cardboard box, what the hell, man?" Which I suppose they think is extremely witty. But in the case of these RVH95s, the box is more relevant than usual because it's made of heavy duty cardboard with reinforced corners, and it functions as a storage and presentation case. So yeah, you know, it's only cardboard, but it's very heavy duty, and you get a storage box. Inside you've got the book. They also provide you with a little cloth baggie, useful if you're carrying these around on location with other bits and bobs in a shoulder bag or something, because it stops the lead getting tangled up with all the other stuff and keeps the headphones nice and all together. And there are the RVH95s nestling in this little preformed plastic velvet cupboard thing. Let's have them out. There they are. Okay, just get rid of the box. Alrighty, so here they are, the RVH95s. Okay, all plastic construction, all the headband, everything's plastic with this nice chrome finish on the outside of the cups. I don't know if you can just see that, but all the mechanism for the yoke, you know, this yoke slide thing for extending the headband, it's all got Phillips head screws in there. Okay, the play for raising and lowering the headband is about 1.5 inches each side, and the headband itself has got this rather nice padded bit here underneath, so it rests on the crown of your head really nicely. And actually, when you're wearing them, this does help to prevent that dreaded, you know, headband slippage where you lean over and the headband just slips forward that inch, which is really irritating. Okay, let's look at the lead. It's held in place with this grommet thing here to help relieve any strain that might occur, and you get a very generous 3 metre lead, okay, which is good for the home studio user and the DJ user alike. It's good to have plenty of lead. Gold-plated 1/4 inch stereo jack. This is actually an adapter, and it's the screw type that unscrews. Underneath there's a gold-plated mini jack as well, and you can just see the thread there. Okay, so the good news is this is highly unlikely to fall off and get lost when it's screwed in place. It's firm as anything and won't fall off. But you have to be careful if you do remove it to use the mini jack, because you cannot use a traditional 1/4 inch adapter on this mini jack. You have to use a screw fitting one. Okay. So, nice 3-metre lead. The cups themselves clearly marked left and right, which I like. I mean, obviously the regular user who only has this pair of headphones will soon learn that the left hand side is the one with the cable, but I much prefer clear markings to when they mould it into the black plastic and it's hard to see for people like me with not such good eyesight. Okay, now that just leaves the actual yoke system here at each end containing the cups. It's like the Sony system, yeah? You know, those Sony yoke systems, it's lifted from that pretty much, I'd say. I was actually using a pair of Sonys a couple of days ago, and I think these, while they're almost identical, I think they've got slightly more travel than the Sonys. You can rotate, well, you can put them right in like that. Okay, you can rotate each yoke like this, a full 45 degrees. Okay, and each cup itself can be then rotated 90 degrees facing the opposite direction. Okay, so that's really good, of course, for DJs who like to use one hand, who do use just one hand holding it up to their ears while they cue up their tracks and things, and also for singers who like to perform holding up one cup to have one ear free for listening. Of course, you can point the other cup off axis from the mic. Very comfortable, nicely cushioned pad on each ear, and when you put them on, they're very comfortable. I wear glasses as well. I'm wearing glasses at the moment, so I've got them on my head. I'm going to do some head banging. I'm leaning over at like that angle, yeah, right over, and I'm head banging up and down, and they're not moving. They stay on the head very, very well, but yet they are not pinching the ears at all. Very, very comfortable. Okay, so that's the build. Nice to look at. Seem to be sturdily constructed. Comfortable to wear. Good long lead. And all this manoeuvrability of this yoke system. So let's move on and look at the actual audio part of the review, and then we'll move on to the summing up. Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, welcome to the audio test. I just thought I'd show you how I did it. Basically, I've got a trance CD loop on each track, and then each channel strip for each track has got an EQ on it, and that's it. The master output has got a level meter and a very soft limiter. Okay, so what I did was, over a period of a week, I went into the studio, an hour here and an hour there, day by day, and I continually switched between the different pairs of headphones, gradually over the week tweaking the EQ curve and comparing them against each other, until I arrived at these EQ curves for each pair of headphones. The sound in the headphones that I was trying to get was the sound of a small 5 or 6 inch pair of near-field monitors, what I might call a radio mix, a flat mix without bass emphasis, without a heavy bass. Okay, and these are the resulting EQ curves. If we start with the HD25s here, they're the most expensive of all the headphones that I tested over that week. And the thing about the HD25s is they've got this very small but very well padded headphone cups, which sit actually right over the ear. So there's no ambient space inside the cups at all. The cups are small, so they sit actually on top of the ear rather than outside the ear. And as a result, when you put them on, it closes everything down. There's no ambient space, so to speak, inside the cups. When you put on the HD25s, it's like you're walking into a completely dead sound booth. And as a result, they massively hype the bass, and they actually hype the top a bit and the mids as well. As I said, I tested these against each other over and over a week's period. I don't actually own the HD25s, but when I commented on this massive bass hype from the HD25s, the owner laughed and said, "Oh God, yeah, they do that. It took me a while to get used to that bass hype, because I'd work on an idea at night, and the next morning it would, it would have not enough bass because I'd rolled off the bass so much, So that's the HD25s. If we look at the two AKGs, their EQ curves are fairly similar. Slight emphasis I've added to the bass after rolling off the bottom end, and a mid-range boost slightly. The 141s are rolled off more than the 240s, but that's probably because the cups, the padded cups on the 141s are very old now, and they've got very little plumpness left, So the actual speaker component of the headphones is sitting nearer to the ear than it should be if the foam pads were nice and plump. And that's probably why I've had to roll off the bass more. Pardon me. If the pads were nice and plump and fresh, the EQ curve would probably look more like the 240s. The Panasonic prosumers hype the bass quite a lot as well. That's their EQ curve. But if we now look at the RVH95 EQ curve, the headphones we're actually reviewing, you can see that of all the cans, I've rolled off the bass far less. And that's because the RVH95s do not give this big bass hype. If anything, they're mid-range pronounced, let's say. In fact, I would say that when you first put on the RVH95s, the very first time you try them, you sort of you listen to something and you sort of go, whoa, wow, that's quite mid-rangey. I'm not sure I like that, or that's not what I'm used to. Or you might play a loop on some track you're working on, and you think, oh, it sounds really mid-range compared to the speakers. But the point is, it's not emphasising the bass as much. I've rolled off the mids because of that sort of perceived sort of slight mid-range emphasis. It's quite a wide cue that I've rolled the mids off, with around a 1K centre point. It was 89 Hz actually. But the main thing to notice is that they don't hype the bass as much as the other cans. Okay. Now, the headphones have got different impedances, so I had to adjust the volume levels as I was switching between them over a week, which is partly why it took that as long as it did. But once I'd set the EQ curve as near as damn it to make the mix in each pair of headphones the same, I then used a level meter to adjust the faders on each channel strip for each track to get the render files to be the same volume, so that when you compare the 5 rendered files of these EQ curves, you won't get a jump in volume each time you switch between files. Okay. It's a trance loop, as I said. I'll just give you a quick burst of it. This is through the RVH95 EQ curve. This is through the HD25 EQ curve. This is the K240DF EQ curve, the K141s, and the Prosunima Panasonics. Okay, but for the full high quality audio demo files that I've made, one for each pair of cans, EQ curve, those will be available for download on the Dance Tech product page where this review is going to be placed. If you're watching this on YouTube, look in the details text underneath the video, and there you will see a link to the Dance Tech page where you can download the audio examples for listening on your own monitors. Okay. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to the summing up. Okay, so summing up the Red5audio RVH95s. Well, if the projected retail price stays as the company has said, they'll be about $39.99, so they're they offer good value for money. They're really, really nicely built. They're lovely both to feel and visually, and they feel well made. They stay on the head really, really well, as I showed you. I was headbanging really quite heavily with them at that angle, and not even this centre headband slipped off the crown of my head. So they stay on the head really well, even if you're leaning over a DJ decks or a work surface or something like that, but yet they don't crush your ears and feel uncomfortable at all. They're very, very comfortable to wear. This yoke arrangement, as we showed in more detail earlier, whether you're a vocalist who likes to hold one earpiece up whilst monitoring when you're singing, you can angle the other headphone off axis from the mic. For DJs, this yoke arrangement, whether you're left or right-handed, means you can very easily set them up for holding up to one ear while you cue tracks and things, without this other headphone always being in the way. So that's a bonus for both singers who like to hold up one earpiece and DJs. The yoke arrangement is absolutely fantastic. Now let's look at them from the point of view of DJs. There is the yoke, as we've said, allowing very, very comfortable and easy one-hand, one earpiece monitoring. On top of that, the slight mid-emphasis of these and the lack of bass hype means that if you are using them for queuing up tracks and things, you've got more ability to zone in on the mid-range detail of things like the click of kicks and things, so without all that bass hype being there to clutter things up. So they could actually be quite good for that. And also for DJs, you've got a very long lead, which means that you've got access to a long arrangement of DJ equipment up and down a desk without the lead being too short. I can see these becoming a huge hit with DJs, actually. DJs should really check these out. They're fantastic and affordable. Now, for the home studio user, well, you never mix on headphones, that's a golden rule, but if you're working on an idea late at night, which you're then going to work on in the daytime when you can use your monitors, and you're going to mix it on monitors for your final mix. If you're working on an idea late at night with these, because they don't hype the bass, you won't find that you're rolling off the bass as much when you're working on cans, and therefore when you play them on your monitors the next day, the bass won't be missing. Okay? You won't have to then re-equalise all the bass to bring it up again, because you've rolled it off because the cans were hyping the bass too much. All you have to do is just not roll off the mids as much as I did in the example audio files. Now that was me without, I set those EQ curves listening purely on the cans without referring on monitors to what the mix sounded like. Once I then listened to the final mixes, the final mix files of all the cans on near fields, I had rolled off the mid too much on the RVH95 mix. Okay, so you just don't roll off the mid as much as I did, and you'll get used to them and learn them like you will any pair of headphones. All headphones have to be learnt, like all monitors have to be learnt. Yeah. Okay, so when you listen to the resulting file, you will probably agree with me that that mid-range dip that I made at around 1K needs to come up at least until it's almost not there. So you just need to get used to that mid-range emphasis. For the home studio user, a nice long lead is a bonus because you need to move around your home studio to your mic and back to your computer and things. And it isn't always possible to move your sound card headphone output or dock headphone unit, the sound card external dock unit to a more logical position for shorter leads. So the long lead's a bonus for home studio users too. Also, another area I can see these cans really scoring is in the education sector, where education projects need to buy a lot of headphones in bulk. They're very well priced. They will function for studio use, sequencing use, and for DJ workshops as well. So they'll function for a small education facility. They'll function for DJ workshops and for studio workshops. The other thing that's good for education is the fact that this I know it's trivial, but this screw-on adapter, it's screw-on, so it can't easily fall off and be lost. And also, because of the screw feature, this adapter will not work with a normal mini jack. It will only work with this screw mini jack on this actual pair of headphones. And that might sound trivial, but I've worked in the past for the Prince's Trust, and we turned up at one education project that we were delivering, and the DJ tutors, when they checked their kit, all the adapters were missing, and they had to go into the nearest city to buy adapters. And their project basically was held up for the whole morning until they got back with the adapters. So the other thing about it is, is they're less likely to go missing on education projects. Kids ain't going to pinch them for their headphones because they'll only work with these headphones. So that's a bonus. And as I say, the price means you can buy them in bulk for education projects, and they'll function for both studio, as I said, and DJ workshops. Also for the small budget studio that's recording live bands, if you want to buy some bulk headphones for the musicians' playing area, again they score because they're very comfortable to wear, stay on the head well, and they've got a nice long lead. So yeah, the Red5audio RVH95s. I think they're very good actually, and I can see these being a real hit with DJs. Education projects, you should seriously look at these before you splash out on some bulk headphone purchasing. And the home studio enthusiast also, they're really nice, comfortable, well-built cans that don't hype the bass. You just have to get used to that sort of subtle mid, sort of slight to mid-emphasis they give you, and lack of bass hype. So all in all, I think they're very good. Yeah. So there you go, the Red5audio RVH95s, and I hope this has been useful. I'll see you for the next one.